All right, so we have our Victorian Edwardian parlor music on for this eBay unboxing. And I'm starting to branch out and I'm getting interested now in books. So this is another book. And what I really like, I like the time frame of the Gibson girl. And the Gibson girl is a certain type of girl that had this fancy look about her. And so first, I'll tell you about the Gibson girls in a second. But let's check out the book first and make sure it's in good shape. Now, some of these books, they get very, very expensive to collect. There's not very many of them around. And they're very, very old. So this one was written in 1907. And it's very hard to find them in good condition. Unfortunately, the condition is everything when it comes to these old books. Now, I don't collect them for value. I'll be honest with you. I collect them because I like to read them and look at the pictures. I look for books that have illustrated book plates of Gibson type of girls. Now, I really love that design and style of time frame that was popular from the 1890s to World War I. Okay. All right. So this book is actually quite beautiful. Let's raise the stands a little and take a look at this. And in good condition, some of these books can fetch about anywhere between $80 to $200. And I was really lucky to get this one for $25. And sometimes you can get lucky and find them for cheap. And they're not like rusty barnacles, if you know what I mean, where they're falling apart. Okay, so what we have here is A Dream of Fair Women with illustrations by the famous artist Harrison Fisher. And if you look, let's zoom in. And of course, my camera is going to cast a shadow, but we have this gorgeous picture on the front of a Gibson-style girl made and illustrated by Harrison Fisher, the famous artist. So let's check out inside the book. Now, I don't know what kind of condition this is in. The seller didn't say very much. But as you can see, wow, look at this. Look at the colors, how bright they are for the time frame it was made. Again, 1907. I'm going to go very carefully. If you're going to read an old book like this, always try to wear gloves because your finger oils can destroy them. Now, it says inside the front page, it says, from Mayme, M-A-Y-M-E, to Macy, and I can't read the last name, dated 1909. Very cool. All right. So here we go. A Dream of Fair Women. So let's check this out. Okay, so I'm going to go over with you really fast what was all the rage about this artist here. Okay, so a lot of people collect books that have illustrations from this artist. Let's try to get out of the bad lighting here. Okay, hang in there. Okay. And you can see how gorgeous his illustrations were. I hate the fact that my camera is casting a shadow, but what could you do? So Harrison Fisher, the artist, was born in Brooklyn, New York. That's why I like his pictures so much, because I was born on the Brooklyn-Queens border in New York City. Now, he was born in Brooklyn, New York, and he was a newspaper and magazine illustrator. He did a lot of covers for Cosmopolitan magazine, but he was in many, many other magazines as well. He was particularly known for his drawings of women, which were his acclaim. And he was the successor of famous illustrator Charles Dana Gibson, who made the It Girl, otherwise known as the Gibson Girl. So back during the Edwardian time frame and just at the end of the 19th century, Charles Dana Gibson made a particular type of girl who was fashioned after his wife and several other people in his family, I believe, and called them the It Girl, which was known as the Charles Dana Gibson Girl or Gibson Girl. The Gibson Girl was what was almost the idealization of what a woman should look like in the end of the century on to the 20th century. So a Gibson Girl was around, basically the style was around from the 1890s till World War One. The Gibson girl was created again, like I said, by famous illustrator Charles Dana Gibson, who was an American artist who is best known for his creation of these type of girls. It was an iconic representation of beautiful and independent Euro-American women at the turn of the 20th century. His images were like the model of American womanhood in the 1890s and onto the Edwardian era. The short-lived Edwardian era of the Gibson type girl showed us ladies who dressed in a highly distinguishable S silhouette. Basically, that was made by the fact that they wore these really tight corsets where they barely had any waist showing, which accentuated their hips and their buttocks, and also the top parts of their dresses accentuated their bosom. And that was a Gibson type girl look. It was a far cry from the Victorian era of the fact that the skirts were much wider and fuller. Again, he accentuated a voluptuous type of look in a woman with the large bust and hips, but not as a vulgar look or a lewd or crude look. A Gibson girl was tall. She was slender, but with ample bosom, hips, and buttocks. So that was sort of the look they were going for. Now the hair, as you can see here, the hair was actually fluffy, almost as a sort of pompadour type of style, like made famous by Lady Madame Pompadour. And that was in, I believe, the 1700s. Her hair was fluffy, bouffant, in an updo, with curls, sometimes dangling down, or pin curls. Very, very cool. So this book is in great shape. We got the original tissue paper, and it's called The Dream of Fair Women, with illustrations by Harrison Fisher. The decorations on each page were by E. Stetson Crawford, and this was published by the Bobbs Merrill Company, written in 1907. And it says, "To the fair women of our dreams." And I'm going to move this very, very, very gently and delicately. So these were basically books that used what we know here as like pinup girls. These were the pinup girls of that time frame. And this book is like a collection of poems made by very, very famous poets with pretty girls. So we have poets such as Alfred Tennyson, Meredith Nicholson, William Winter, James Whitcomb Riley, Frank L. Stanton, Maurice Francis Egan, Miss Kemp Ogden, and many, many more. Lord Byron is in here, Ernest Wentworth, Robert Burns, the famous Scottish poet. And so I'm not going to read every single one of them to you guys unless you recommend me do that in the comments below. If you want me to read this book of poems to you, I will read you every single poem. But we'll read one or two and then conclude the video. I, turning, saw throned in a flowery rise, one sitting on a crimson scarf unrolled, a queen with swarthy cheeks and bold black eyes, brow bound with burning gold. And then we get to the next page and we continue. She, flashing forth a haughty smile, began, I governed men by change, and so I swayed all moods. 'Tis long since I have seen a man. Once, like the moon, I made. And wow, so beautiful. And we're going to go gentle as possible, because we do not want to wreck these prints. And here we go. The ever-shifting currents of the blood, according to my humor, ebb and flow. I have no men to govern in this wood. That makes me only woe. An arc of blue above a quiet lake, and still low shores where languid ripples break, and quiet deeps of wood with brooding June, watches the shadow of late afternoon, and o'er the water idle swallows slip, with startled cries to find their wings adrip. And let's check out some of these pictures. And here we go. And Harrison Fisher is just fantastic. But pleasantest of all is to see, there in the swaying hammock, Marjorie, repeating rhythmic tales, the while her eyes mirror the lake, the wood, the shore, the skies. And here we go with a Harrison Fisher picture. Look at this art. Oh my God, this art is just beautiful. His technique was amazing. And she's reading magazines. And what was he known for? Illustrations in magazines. And here's what it says. It says, and while her voice is soft and low, clear as music and as sweet, hearing it you hardly know where the sound and silence meet. And we have, wow, that's a beautiful dress. Another illustration. And all the stars are drowned, my love, and all the skies are drear. But what care we for light above, if light of love is here? And here yet we have another illustration. The end. So once again, thank you for watching another one of my videos, and I hope you enjoy the Ghetto Antiques Roadshow installment. And until we get the next book, this should be fun. So if you'd like me to read the poems, write it in the comments below, and I will read the poems to you guys. But hopefully you can find your copy of A Dream of Fair Women with illustrations by the famous illustrator Harrison Fisher for lots of beautiful, beautiful art.